Hi everyone, Marty Snider, Dale Jarrett. Time for a little splash and go. DJ, big win for Martin Truex Jr. at Dover. How significant that they get the win at Richmond than at Dover? Because I don't know if you agree, but it seems like they're kind of still searching for their mile-and-a-half program to get it just right, like Cole Pearn and Martin Truex Jr. like to have it.
Yeah, it seemed like they started this year off that they really didn't know where they fit in at Joe Gibbs Racing and how to go about navigating through and transferring everything that they knew over the last 4 or 5 years to get it to Joe Gibbs Racing and have some success.
Right.
I think this has been huge for them to get this kind of off their back and say, okay, now we're ready. We've won at a couple of good racetracks here for us. Got a short track win, which they didn't have. So I think now their next step and their next process in figuring this total new package out for 2019 is to get that mile and a half, because they have a number of mile-and-a-half and 2 mile tracks coming up. It's going to be very important for them. So great job by them. Coming from the back, very impressive. He was able to do that.
Next 3 weeks, very critical, obviously, with Kansas, the All-Star race, and the Coca-Cola 600 to decide really who's going to be good moving forward. 7 wins for Joe Gibbs Racing in 11 races. I mean, did you expect that coming into this year, DJ?
No, you had to know that with Truex going there, that this organization is going to be very strong. Denny started out winning the Daytona 500. You know Kyle Busch is always going to be in the mix. So he's been very strong, and certainly with his 11 top 10s in a row now, just incredible what he's been able to do. Even Eric Jones is showing some flashes of really being good. Not sure he's ready to win yet, but they're getting closer to that. But to say that they would have this kind of dominance, I don't know, but you're adding what I believe is a future Hall of Famer in Martin Truex Jr. to that organization, and so good things are going to happen. I think competition within an organization is a good thing, and Martin Truex and Cole Pearn have brought that to them. But wow, they're making it look almost easy. I know it's not. As others are trying to figure these rules packages out, exactly what they need, they seem to have it well in hand on a weekly basis.
So who's the best driver at JGR right now? if you had to pick one, you know this is the best guy leading the charge.
I have to go with Kyle Busch. I mean, he's just the best driver talent in the series right now, and that's not taken away. We have a lot of tremendous race drivers, but week in, week out, Kyle Busch is the very best. And I know that, every week they haven't been right in the top 5 as they were at the very start of the season, but he's just so talented, and he sets the standard over there. The others are going to jump in. They're going to get their wins. They're going to have some off weeks, but he's going to be there on a steady basis, and he's going to be the person that they're all going to be trying to beat, I believe, at the end of the season to win the championship.
So speaking of Kyle Busch, he had some interesting things to say post-race at Dover. Not very happy with the package. Said it was almost impossible to pass. I want to get your take on what Kyle Busch and some very strong words that he had to say after the Dover race.
Well, I think it's frustration from a driver that's accustomed to running in the top 5 and racing for a win at Dover, a racetrack that he's really good at and enjoys. And unfortunately, they didn't find what he needed there, and because I think the rules package changed that racetrack so much, and I thought that it may be beneficial to him as I think about this package and driver styles, with him always carrying more speed through the center. I thought that may be good, but as I watched the race unfold, I felt like that the extra downforce that they had let others carry more speed through there, where it was easier for them to do that, where before it was harder for others, but seemed to be rather simple for Kyle Busch to do that. So it took away an advantage that he had of being able to carry that speed through there. There comes the frustration, and when you're not doing well, you're going to speak up and say what you think, and I don't have a problem with him doing that. The problem that I have is that a couple of cars started in the rear and found no problem in passing cars.
Finished first and second.
Yeah, they finished first and second, and one of them being his teammate. So obviously it could be done, but when your setup isn't conducive to being able to make passes, then you automatically go to the rules package. And I can't disagree with what he's saying, but the opportunity was there to make passes. They just didn't have the setup.
Well, there's no doubt this package is lending itself towards being a track position kind of race, right? But as you said, if you moved around, and we'll see that this weekend at Kansas, because you can use the bottom to the top of the racetrack at Kansas to be able to make passes. That's the key. You got to be willing to move around on the racetrack.
That's the whole key, Marty, is being willing to move around. I watch Kevin Harvick, who's always good at Dover, but he's always good going around the bottom. You know, Kyle Busch is a lot that way too, around the bottom. Other than a couple of years ago, whenever he chased down Chase Elliott on the top side of the racetrack, Chase was the one that stuck to the bottom, and Kyle Busch ended up passing him to get the win. So I was a little surprised they didn't move around and try to experiment a little bit more. But as a driver, when you've had success in one thing, Jimmy Johnson was around the bottom all the time. Kevin Harvick around the bottom all the time. And they have a lot of wins at Dover. They just didn't seem to be able to make that work yesterday and weren't willing to see if they could make something else work. But I think that's going to be something that this package requires of drivers and make them think a little bit differently about what they know. Now they've got to unknow that.
So as we move into the summer months, more talk about how they don't like this package, or does that kind of calm down a little bit, you think?
No. I think it's going to ramp up more.
Really?
Actually, yes. Even as they learn more, I believe we're going to see that. The one thing that we didn't want not only us from the outside watching these races, but the drivers didn't want something that was going to put them in a box to where we're back to track position and talking about that all the time.
Right.
And even though we, as we pointed out, had two drivers that came from the back, were able to make passes, the majority of the field found it very difficult to make passes. So I don't know if there's going to be some tweaking done to this. I would look for maybe that, because what we need is entertaining racing to get the fans more engaged in what's happening at the track.
Always good to get the perspective of the Hall of Famer. Hey, Motor Mouse coming up, NASCAR America, Wednesday, 5 p.m. AJ Allmendinger and Matt DiBenedetto. You know, they're really close friends.
Yep.
We gotta make fun of them somehow. Yes, we've got to make fun of them somehow. That's Wednesday on NBCSN. We'll see you then.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.